Have you ever felt something different in your life, something that seems bigger than you, but you can't explain? What if I told you that the Holy Spirit could be working within you right now, bringing about profound changes that many never notice? Yes, the signs are there, but few have the courage to recognize them. Many look for answers in the wrong places, while spiritual transformation has already begun in the most important place, within themselves. Today, you will discover 3 secret signs that reveal that the Holy Spirit has entered your body. These signs are like divine codes that change the way you think, act, and even the way you connect with the world around you. But be careful. Not everyone is sensitive enough to perceive these changes, and this can make all the difference in your spiritual journey. If you feel like you're experiencing something out of the ordinary, stay with me until the end. These signs may be what you need to confirm what's happening in your life. And before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you'll never miss a divine message that can transform your reality. There is something profoundly powerful about the Holy Spirit entering a person's life. It is not a subtle change, but a transformation that begins at the core, reshaping one's essence, behavior, and even priorities. Imagine an electric current activating a system that previously seemed dormant. This is how the Holy Spirit works. A person begins to realize that his or her desires and goals begin to reflect something greater than himself or herself, something that transcends the mundane. This process, although often unexpected, is essential for spiritual growth. A clear example can be seen when someone notices an annoyance with old habits that previously seemed harmless. It is as if a new lens is placed on their eyes, allowing them to see clearly what previously went unnoticed. This awakening can occur in ordinary moments, such as when listening to a song or witnessing an everyday scene, but with a meaning that resonates deeply. Suddenly, behaviors that were once automatic begin to lose their strength, and a desire for divine renewal takes over. A person's perspective also changes dramatically. What was once seen as success or fulfillment often pales in comparison to the fulfillment that comes with spiritual alignment. Priorities are readjusted. Selfish ambitions are replaced by desires that reflect the fruits of the Spirit, such as love, kindness, and self-control. It is as if the Holy Spirit plants seeds of spiritual transformation that grow with each choice made. This process is not always comfortable. It often comes with internal challenges that serve as a training ground for the soul. One may struggle with doubts, resistance, and even a certain fear of the unknown. However, it is important to remember that these difficulties are like the heat needed to mold gold. With each step, one realizes that one is becoming a stronger, more enlightened version of oneself, more connected to one's true essence. This transformation also causes visible changes for those around them. Friends, family, and even acquaintances may notice a new vitality or peace that seems to radiate from within. This new attitude often arouses curiosity, admiration, and even questions. However, the most profound impact occurs within the person themselves, who feels the Holy Spirit not only as an external force, but as a living presence within them. And it is precisely this presence that begins to reflect physically, as we will see in the next step of this journey. When the Holy Spirit enters a person's life, it's not just the inside that changes. The outside begins to reflect this transformation as well. Physical appearance often becomes a mirror of what's happening in the soul. Think of Moses in Exodus 34 verse 29, whose face shone after being in the divine presence. Something similar happens today. There's a sparkle in the eyes, a confident posture, and a renewed vitality that seems almost palpable. This change is a visible indicator of the profound spiritual growth that is taking place. Many may even hear unexpected comments. "You look different, more radiant, calmer." These observations usually come from people who, even without understanding the process, perceive the signs of divine renewal. This does not mean just physical beauty. It is something deeper, a reflection of the peace and inner strength that the Holy Spirit provides. It is as if the inner light begins to overflow to the outside, touching the way the person smiles, walks, and even presents himself to the world. The vitality that accompanies this spiritual transformation can be felt in every aspect of daily life. It is not uncommon for those who experience this shift to feel more energized to accomplish tasks or to face the day with greater vigor. Health often improves, not only as a result of changes in social circles or behavior, but because spiritual alignment also promotes physical balance. If someone is feeling tired or low on energy, incorporating moments of prayer and meditation can be a practical way to sustain this vitality. Furthermore, physical transformation also serves as a living testimony to others. Imagine meeting someone who was down, stuck in destructive patterns, but who now radiates hope and purpose. This is a powerful reminder that the Holy Spirit not only changes what is on the inside, but also wants the outside to reflect the work that is ongoing. Small practices, such as taking better care of your body, eating healthier, or even smiling more, become part of this reflection. Ultimately, this physical change is not an end in itself, but a constant reminder that spiritual transformation encompasses all areas of life. The body becomes a living temple, manifesting the fruits of the Spirit in tangible ways. This harmony between the inner and the outer paves the way for something even more profound: the alignment of actions, priorities, and behaviors, which are even clearer evidence of the work of the Holy Spirit. When the Holy Spirit takes up residence in a person's heart, old patterns of behavior begin to fall away like dry leaves before a refreshing wind. There is an almost palpable force that makes old habits that were once difficult to break seem irrelevant. For example, a person who has always reacted with anger begins to notice a new level of self-control emerging from within. These changes are not imposed. They flow naturally from the divine presence, allowing more spirit-aligned behaviors to take the place of the old ones. These transformations also bring clarity about what really matters. Priorities that once seemed unquestionable begin to be re-evaluated. Perhaps someone who has always put work above all else begins to value time with family or with God more. It is a powerful exchange. The weight of worldly concerns gives way to the lightness of living under divine guidance. A practical example: setting aside time each day for Bible reading or meditation can be a step toward further aligning these new priorities. The fruits of the Spirit described in Galatians 5 verses 22 to 23 become evident. Where there was selfishness, there is now generosity. Where there was anxiety, there is now peace. This does not mean that challenges disappear, but the way we face them changes completely. Someone who once gave in to impatience discovers a patience that seems to come from a place far beyond his or her strength. It is as if the Holy Spirit is a careful gardener, removing weeds and cultivating virtues that grow with renewed strength. This mask leads us to believe that we are nothing more than our thoughts, emotions, and actions, but this belief obscures the deeper awareness that is the basis of who we really are. Consciousness, on the other hand, is like a silent observer, always present but rarely noticed. While the ego reacts and judges, consciousness simply witnesses. Think of times when you have felt fully present, such as watching a sunset or listening to music that touches your soul. In those moments, the ego recedes, and you feel a connection to something greater. This state of presence is what many call the balance between light and dark, a state where judgment gives way to harmony. The ego, however, is not the villain. It is a necessary tool for survival in the material world, but it should not be confused with who you really are. It is like mistaking the reflection in the mirror for your own face. Wisdom lies in realizing that the ego is fleeting, while consciousness is eternal. A practical example of this is the practice of meditation. By observing your thoughts without judging them, you begin to notice the difference between the mind stream and the consciousness that observes it. Over time, This self-awareness dissolves the over-identification with the ego and reveals the inner temple, a space where true essence can be found. This journey requires resilience, because the ego does not disappear easily. It clings to beliefs, memories, and even suffering. But each small moment of clarity is a step toward freedom. And this freedom is not about rejecting the ego, but rather integrating it wisely, allowing it to serve the greater consciousness. Practicing ego detachment is essential to achieving this harmony. For example, try asking yourself, "Who am I without my thoughts?" This type of reflection may seem challenging at first, but with practice, it opens up space for profound insights. You begin to realize that behind the layers of thought and emotion, there is a serene and unchanging observer. This is the state of wholeness, where your essence is aligned with the whole. And as the ego loses its power, an even more intriguing question arises. If we are not the ego, who are we really? This is the invitation to the next step of the journey, where freeing ourselves from separate identity reveals a new dimension of freedom. Freeing ourselves from the idea of a separate self is like opening a window onto an infinite horizon, where the rigid boundaries that define who we are begin to dissolve. When we let go of this fixed identity, we realize that much of our pain and suffering comes precisely from our attachment to who we think we are. Imagine a leaf floating in a river. When it tries to resist the current, it suffers. But when it surrenders to the flow, it finds peace. In the same way, letting go of absolute control over our identity allows life to flow with more harmony and wisdom. This liberation is not about rejecting our personality or erasing the experiences that have shaped us. Rather, it is about understanding that we are much more than these superficial layers. Think of times when you have felt deeply connected to something greater, such as a community, nature, or even a moment of meditative silence. These moments reveal that separation is an illusion. We are like drops of water in the vast ocean of existence. Connection to this whole brings balance and resilience, as it dissolves the suffering generated by the idea of isolation. By questioning this limited identity, space opens up for true inner freedom. Simple practices, such as observing your emotions without identifying with them, can help in this process. For example, if you are feeling angry, instead of saying, "I am angry," try thinking, "There is anger in me right now." This small adjustment in thinking completely changes your relationship with the emotion, allowing you to observe it without being consumed by it. The wisdom lies in recognizing that emotions are like clouds. They pass, but the sky of consciousness remains. When you let go of attachment to separate identity, a sense of harmony with all things arises. There is no longer a need to prove anything to the world or to yourself. This new way of being is not apathetic or indifferent, but deeply integrated and purposeful. You begin to act no longer out of fear or a desire for validation, but from a place of authenticity and integrity.